Welcome to the Probably Soccer Podcast, where we probably talk about soccer. My name's Eddy, and I am your host for this week. We're going to start out by mourning because we made it to the end of the World Cup. Talk about the World Cup final, congratulate Spain, and then it's finally time. The best league in the world is back. The MLS, we're going to talk about what happened last week, talk about what's coming up this week, and ultimately make some predictions for this upcoming weekend. And finally, I got to give a little shout out to Loudoun United, whose game I went to this past weekend against the Tampa Bay Rowdies. So we'll talk a little bit about that and my experience at Segra Field. Welcome to the episode. This is Probably Soccer. Right, everybody, welcome back to an episode of Probably Soccer. My name is Eddy, and I am your host. We need to start by mourning. I need to play some taps. We're in a season of mourning because the day that we've been dreading is here. The first day after the end of a wonderful World Cup. It's just really sad. I went to work today, and I realized, holy cow, I'm not going to have to work really hard in the morning and get ready for a kickoff at 3 p.m. Instead, I can just do my job. And so it is sad that it's over, but we've got a lot to reflect on as we think about this World Cup. A USA embarrassment against Belgium, a Cape Verde who drew with both Spain and Argentina through 90 minutes, a Norway setting the stage for really cool cultural traditions, and ultimately a victor found in Spain, a hard-fought victory over Argentina. And I'm going to be honest, that final was very boring. I was obviously going to watch it no matter what. It was going to be enjoyable no matter what, but after a third place Tax Slayer Gator Bowl type of game on Saturday that ended up being 6-4 with 10 goals scored, I just knew that this final was going to be 0-0 going to extra time. And that's exactly what happened. To be honest, my prediction was 3-2 Spain. So I'll take 1-0. But congratulations, Spain. I know all of you on the team are big listeners to the Probably Soccer podcast, so congratulations. And, as I've been reflecting the past 24 hours over the World Cup, it's been my first World Cup that I've actually followed, and it's been a really fun experience, just, from the group games of 4 games per day to the final that happened yesterday. Lots have happened, and to be able to bring in my friends who haven't really been able to catch on to soccer or think soccer is dumb and not a sport that they would enjoy, texting me mid-game like, hey, I actually love this. Like, I get the hype. Now we'll see if they actually buy in and choose a club team or follow USA outside of every 4 years. That's to be seen. But it has been really nice seeing everyone buy in and everyone want to watch and cheer on, whether it be the underdogs, Cape Verde, for instance, or Team USA, or for Spain, as people watch Argentina, as a lot of this happened. In case you're interested, I just filmed recorded a podcast episode with one of my colleagues who has a podcast called Washed Up in DC. So I can link to that in the description. And you can go listen to that, get a little bit more of my thoughts on the final, a little bit, sort of things surrounding the final, talk about different things. It was a really good conversation. I enjoyed talking more about that. So I'll link to that. Go check it out. Go support my buddy Colin and his co-host Abby as they are on Washed Up. And so while we're wrapping up this season of mourning, I was tearing off the sackcloth and ashes. I am getting excited because now we pivot to the real game. To the real, we're dealing with the USA women's team coming up, and lots of fans saying, "Oh, you should care about the women's team. I do. I also really care about the men's team. I love both teams. So I'm really excited to lock in on my first Women's World Cup happening next summer and cheer on the USA to a win. They haven't qualified yet. I don't think those qualifiers aren't officially done until the fall. So it'll be exciting to watch them qualify through the different CONCACAF things. I'm honestly still learning how all that qualification stuff works, but I will be watching pretty much every game. And actually, I love what Emma Hayes is doing to prepare the girls for next year, setting up these friendlies with Spain that just got announced. I actually secured a ticket to go to Eddy Field for that game. So I'm really excited for that, seeing the reigning Women's World Cup champion versus the Olympic gold medalist in us, the USA, and hopefully World Cup champion USA next year at that 5th star, because that's what we're looking for. But yeah, it's gonna be an awesome year following the women's team, getting hyped for that. And while we're sad that USA men's didn't go past what we expected them to, overall I really enjoyed this World Cup, and I am very excited to see the after effects. And Justin and I talked about that a little bit in the last pod, but just seeing what that how that ripple effect will take place as more kids are playing soccer, more people are following their local teams, whether it be MLS, USL, or UPSL, NASL, whatever it may be. I'm just excited to see the growth of this game continue and not just be some niche, Euro snob type of sport, but rather a sport that can prosper and can survive here in the United States, the country that I love a lot. And so we're excited. I'm excited. Obviously, we will have a lot of coverage as we lead up to the Women's World Cup happening next year. And that's it for my morning of the end of the World Cup. We're not sad anymore because the World Cup's over, and we can finally get back to what matters. The best league in the world, the MLS, is back. We are so back. Big week last week with a few catch-up games, 2 big rivalry games, and officially this coming Wednesday, MLS will be fully back with all 30 teams playing each other on Wednesday and Saturday. Nice little double match week that I'm very excited to follow, and ultimately it should be an incredible week. And so I need to start. I need to start by talking about the Cascadia rivalry from this past week. Thursday, the Timbers played Seattle, which I watched the first half before. I'm an old man. I need my sleep. I had to work the next day. So stayed up, watched the first half, then went to sleep. Portland's up 1-0 at half, and I remember texting Justin when watching the game. I said, "This is nuts. I'm currently watching an MLS game being played on World Cup turf." And I had that sort of same thing when watching the Cascadia rivalry of the Rain versus the Thorns the weekend before. But I was like, this is just weird watching an MLS game be played on a pitch like this. And it was just fun watching and seeing how that affected the pace of play, how it affected things as they happened. And the first half was fun. It was 1-0. Seattle was still sort of in it, but Portland was really playing really well. I fall asleep. I wake up and I'm like, okay, I should maybe check the score, see what happened. And this is probably like 6:30 in the morning. My brain's not fully on, and I check and I'm like, 5-1. And so I texted my roommate Ben, who is a Timbers fan. Shout out to Ben, and I say, do my eyes deceive me? Does this literally say 5-1? So I immediately go watch the highlights. And I'm like, wow, that says 5-1 for sure. And the Timbers looked really good. Obviously, it's only one game after a 2-month break, so it's too early to tell whether sacking Phil Neville was actually like a really good idea, which it's leaning that way. But the way that they played and watching those highlights, that first goal that I watched in the first half was insane. A perfect setup for Bro to just head it in. And it was just like the perfect sort of setup to go. Oh, I was it was incredible. And so the Timbers really impressed me, and they've had a pitiful first half of the season. But with the World Cup, this MLS season is sort of, you know, a tale of two seasons. Um, you know, San Jose on that tear heading into the break, they could start losing and look like the San Jose that we knew from last season. Portland looked terrible. They could start winning, put together some wins, get some 3 points here and there. Then all of a sudden they're back in the playoff race, maybe even outside of the 9-8 spot, maybe going up. And so it's really, yeah, I was very interested to see that performance from Portland. And then over the weekend, I don't think Portland has officially announced it, but all of sort of the soccer news people have said that they're hiring new head coach Martí Cifuentes. Sorry, I could definitely be saying that wrong. What can I say? I'm a white dude from Texas, who's coaching at Leicester before, got sacked by them, even though they were sitting 14th in the table, kind of not too far outside of a playoff spot. And then ultimately Leicester ended up getting relegated after losing, I think, 18 out of 19 games to end the season. And so he'll bring, a good attacking force, a good, change to how Portland has been playing this season. So I'm interested to see, one, when they'll actually announce him, and two, what that'll look like, how things will change, what exactly he's going to do there. So I don't know a lot about him, but I think it'll be ultimately a good hire for Portland. And who knows, maybe they hire him and they start losing again, and that'll get clipped and turn into a brain rot reel. But or it could be clipped and I get an award at the end of the season from the Probably Soccer Awards. But yeah, I told two of our biggest fans of the pod, Cooper Conway, Ben Sneed, shout out, that I would talk about the Timbers because we've really been neglecting them for the first half of the season. And after that win, I just had to talk about the Timbers for a little bit. But the next night there was another big matchup. Well, there was Nashville and Atlanta, which was kind of boring to watch. Nashville got the 3 points. They're continuing to show that they belong at the top of the table. But then El Trafico, nice Friday night, 10:30 Eastern time, prime time matchup. And I know I literally just said I'm an old man that has bedtime. I did stay up to watch pretty much all of El Trafico. LAFC absolutely cooked. Winning 3-0, pretty much dominated the entire game. Galaxy just couldn't really string anything together. I fear that the Galaxy are starting to put together a season similar to last year. 2024, you win the Cup. 2025, very disappointing. 2026 will probably be another disappointment. And I think LAFC, from what I watched, Sonny he scored, and I think that'll help his drive as he continues to, be that star player for LAFC. And a few others scored whose names I'm blanking on, but LAFC did look really good. And I think they are really starting to shape up to become, shaping up to really make a drive to go far in the playoffs. And I don't really remember our predictions from beginning of the season, but I do remember LAFC being towards the top of our preseason table, especially for me. If there was going to be any team from the Western Conference, I think it would be Vancouver or LA that would be playing for the Western Conference in the MLS Cup. And so I think they are, starting to shape up for that deep playoff run. Again, this is literally only one game, just like Portland. I gave them their flowers. We need to see a few other games before we really jump out and say that they're going to make the playoffs. LAFC obviously has been winning games. They're in the top 8, and I don't want to speak too soon of they are contenders, but it's starting to lean that way of I think they definitely are contenders for the MLS Cup. So that's how I'm leaning with the LAFC. But we had those rivalry matchups in the middle of starting to get towards the end of the World Cup. But now we are fully back. On Wednesday, the MLS will be back. All 30 teams will play. And I'm finally going on my first like actual away day. I kind of joked that when I went to watch DC United play Miami and Baltimore that was like a home away day. But this will be my first actual away day because DC United play in Houston on Wednesday. So I'm very excited. Took some time off of work, going to go home, see family. Most importantly, see family. But second most importantly, go watch my boys play in Houston. Because I actually, growing up, never went to a Dynamo game. So this will be my first time at what I grew up knowing as BBVA Compass Stadium, but now Shell Energy Stadium. So I'm very excited to go experience a new stadium, get to spend time in Houston with my family. Unfortunately, no Astros games going on for me to hit that week, but that's okay. I'm excited to see these new signings for DC United. Andre Dozel coming from England, and then Nathan Ordaz from LAFC, who Renee Weiler was talking today that he probably won't be ready for the game. There's some physical fitness things and stuff to work on before he's fully ready to go. So hopefully he's ready to play Saturday against Toronto, but I don't think I'll see him play Wednesday, which is a little sad considering I'm missing a game on Saturday because I'm going to stay through the weekend with family. But yeah, I'm excited to watch the boys. Houston is a very good team. They're really good in the clutch of either needing to tie or to go ahead. DC United is really bad in the clutch of letting those goals be scored and blowing, like I've talked about before, blowing a 4-2 lead in stoppage time to only get a point instead of 3 points. So I'm interested to see what will happen. My prediction for that game, I think it's going to be a 2-2 draw. I think DC United is going to go up 2-1, and I think Houston will probably tie it up either in stoppage time or late regulation. So that's my prediction for the game. But I'm very excited going. My mom's going with me, which will be fun. And there's a few supporters from DC United that are going. I'm going to sit with them. I think it's a group of like 10 or so. So stay tuned for a recap from that. Probably will post on the Instagram story a little bit as we are experiencing that. So it should be really fun. And I probably won't really follow the other Wednesday games that day just simply because I'll be at that game and then probably pretty tired after the game because it's middle of July in Houston. It's going to be freaking hot. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be a great time. Might even make a little reel from the game. We'll see what happens. But yeah, really excited for that. We're just so glad that the MLS is back. The best league in the world is back. And as things are ramping up, I'm just going to keep talking my crap to Justin, saying that FC Dallas sucks. FC Dallas sucks.
Farrington gets behind the defenders. Farrington with a chance, and he scores! It's a goal! Delgado! Oh, what a strike! Going far post, the header, and they score again! That's a goal! Santi Musa, and he scores!
Well,
that's a goal! Yeah, FC Dallas is for real, my friend.
Yeah, you could have got 5 man of the matches because there's at the back, there's a few boos as well.
He's not on here, so I can say that. And so, yeah, really excited for what is to come in the MLS. All right, so we've gotten hype about the MLS returning. I'm still very hyped, don't worry. But I want to introduce a new segment. It's called Probably a Shoutout. I need to take some time to shout out Loudoun United. If you don't know, Loudoun United, it's out in Leesburg, Virginia. I live in Arlington, about a 45-minute drive. So this past weekend, before DC United is officially back, before things are ramping up on Saturdays, saw they had a home game. I was like, oh, I'll go to a game. And genuinely was surprised. Such an enjoyable atmosphere. I will say the air quality was still not the best, but that wasn't going to stop me from watching some local USL footy, soccer, as we call it here in these United States. And so we went, it was me, a few other buddies, and genuinely had a very good time. Walked up and I was like, whoa, this stadium is dope. It's a nice little middle of nowhere. And you got a great view of all the data centers out in Leesburg, which was, I've always seen the jokes about like, oh, it's all just data centers out there in Northern Virginia, and then you go out to Loudoun United in Leesburg, and you're like, oh, it really is just all data centers out here. But there's a nice like scenic view of trees. It's just really cool. Atmosphere surrounding it, not necessarily crowd atmosphere. There weren't a lot of people there, but surrounding it was honestly really cool. I want to go back in the fall. Maybe the leaves are changing and orange/brown. I think that would be really fun to go and see. But a lot of families there. Similar to when I went to a Kickers game, and it was just lots of families there, family outing. So it's like that at Loudoun United. They have really cool pregame activities. Merch game was surprisingly good. There was a shirt that they unfortunately did not have my size, but it did just say beer soccer, which I do want to get in my repertoire at some point, that shirt. And so we show up, they're playing Tampa Bay Rowdies, which that was partly the reason why I wanted to go. I wanted to watch the Rowdies play. They're at the top of the league right now. So I was like, oh, let's go watch the boys play. And they are very fast. They move quick. They're very tactical the way that they play. But Loudoun United also plays really well. When I was telling my buddies that I went with, I said Loudoun United is really good at tying games. Because I think their record going into was 1-8-4. So 1 win, 8 ties, 4 losses, which is just an insane stat. Just thinking about. But so the Rowdies go up early. And I was like, not early. It was early second half. Not early in the game. Early second half. Rowdies go up early. I'm like, oh no. But the Loudoun United boys, they're playing hard. They're in the artisanal kits, which I really enjoy. I might end up getting one of those when it comes time for that. It goes on sale or whatever. And so they're repping those kits. They're playing their hearts out. And then finally about I think it was the 79th, 80th minute, nice little breakaway shot on goal. The keeper doesn't save it fully. It bounces back. Nice little ricochet. Boom. They tie it up. I looked at my boys. I said, what'd I say? They're really good at tying. And there are a few more chances before the end of the game, but ultimately it did end 1-1. I always forget that, they don't put stoppage time on the boards. They just put it up. And then all of a sudden I got to be like, oh, shoot, I need to track 4 minutes of time. So that was one of the longer 4 minutes of my soccer watching career. But it was genuinely a very good time. Shout out Loudoun United. I will be back at some point this season to watch a game. Hopefully can string together some wins. Some fellas can get some wins and work your way up the table to maybe make playoffs like we did last year. But you've got a new head coach this season. That was one of my favorite parts, if I'm going to be honest, was there weren't a lot of people, and so you could genuinely hear everything that the coaches were saying, just chirping with their players, chirping with the refs. I have like red and yellow cards, and so I brought those to chirp at the refs, and it was just honestly a really good time. There were people there who obviously were fiending for some live soccer like us, that they came with their boys and we were all just chirping together. I held up my yellow card at some point and some kid walked behind me and goes, love the yellow card. Talk about somebody that's going to give you an ego boost. Like, holy cow. And so it was a very good time. Thanks. Loudoun United didn't give us anything. We paid for our tickets, but thanks for putting on a great, not show, just playing really hard. And, I'm very excited to come back to another game and be able to hopefully see a dub next time. But as I'm wrapping up this episode, we talked about the World Cup. We talked about the MLS. Talked about Loudoun United, the Rowdies a little bit. But the MLS is officially back. USL's been going on, and it's been a while since we've made some predictions. And so I chose some of the games this week specifically for MLS, just because the MLS is back. USL's been back, but I want to focus in on the MLS. I've got 5 different games that I want to predict, and then we'll see how it goes. We'll see what happens, and I think I'm going to go 5-0-0. But obviously, you all have seen my picks before. And you've said, wow, his picks are much better than Justin's. So we'll see what happens. So up first on Wednesday, we've got a nice matchup between Miami and Chicago. Miami, I don't think Messi will play because he literally played yesterday. But Chicago, who unfortunately was not able to play last week to see Lewandowski's debut, and Chicago, who also seems like they're selling Hugo Kuipers to Monterrey. So some very interesting business decisions recently. Playing Miami, I'm forgetting who's at home. I think Miami's at home. So that is a factor here. But I think this game will be one of the more exciting games to watch on Wednesday. So if I were you, I would tune into this game. And I think it's going to be 2-1 Miami. Next up, Portland versus FC Dallas. I spent a lot of time earlier sort of, jazzing up the Timbers. And as you all know, I'm not the biggest FC Dallas fan. Much more of, when it comes to Texas teams, much more of a Dynamo guy. And for that reason and that reason alone, I'm going to go, it's going to be a 1-1 draw between Portland and Dallas. Surprisingly, Peter Musa hasn't been sold post-World Cup. I guess he didn't perform as well as he was hoping to. And so if FC Dallas keeps Musa for the rest of the season, I've said this before, I'll say it again, I do think they'll make a deep playoff run. But if Portland plays like they did last week, I think it's going to be a nice 1-1 draw. Or Portland wins 2-1, but I'm going to stick with the 1-1 draw for that game. Moving on to Saturday, we've got a wonderful rivalry matchup, Columbus versus FC Cincinnati, and this one I believe is in Columbus. And these teams obviously hate each other. They're down the highway from each other. They're in the same state. And so I'm excited to tune in for this one, if I'm able to. And my prediction, I'm going to go, I think it's going to be 3-2 with Cincinnati winning. 3-2 with Cincinnati winning. Columbus has made some pretty solid moves recently. However, I don't know. I just feel like the Cincinnati boys pull through 3-2. Also on Saturday, similarly, a rivalry matchup down in Houston. We've got Houston Dynamo versus FC Austin. Austin sort of in limbo. They have a coach, but he's not starting until next season. Houston been playing pretty well, but it is obviously the second half of the season, so we'll see if that continues. I think this one, honestly, I'm going to go with a 0-0 draw for this game. I feel like they're going to play super defensively, and I don't think there'll be a lot of attack. I think it's going to be 0-0 for that game, so a draw. And then finally on Saturday, we've got Nashville versus Orlando. Nashville top of the table. Orlando sort of sitting towards the bottom, but they've got Antoine Griezmann now. And I said this in an episode prior. I do think if there's any team that could put some wins together to at least make playoffs and keep going, it's Orlando. And I think their first test really to do that comes against Nashville on Saturday. And so I think that's going to be a really exciting game, a fun one to watch. I said all these are going to be exciting. I chose these for a reason. I chose the exciting ones. Watch all of these if you can. But Nashville, Orlando, I honestly think Orlando pulls out the stunner here. It's going to be 2-1 Orlando. Orlando's going to score twice. I think Griezmann is going to score. Maybe get his first MLS goal. Maybe he does that Wednesday. I think either way, it's going to be an exciting week for Orlando. And I've seen this team play. They play really well. They are really good at blowing leads. And so if they fix that, I genuinely think they could not only make playoffs, but make a really solid run. And so that's why I'm going 2-1 Orlando on Saturday. All right, well, that'll do it for this week's episode of Probably Soccer. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Let us know any thoughts. Let me know any dumb things that I said, dumb takes. Happy to talk in the comments section. But yeah, great conversation. Love getting to talk about the ending of the World Cup. MLS is back this week. Lots to talk about. Going to a USL game. Overall, just a really great time. And so very excited for what is to come for MLS. starting to get excited for, I know it's not soccer, but football season and the Premier League coming back. And so fall really, really is around the corner. So we've almost made it out of the heat of the summer. So thank you for listening. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, follow us on Instagram at Probably Soccer Pod, and we will see you on our next episode.